Of course, the big story of this first week of April 2022 was Elon Musk and that 9% stake in Twitter. And that, of course, was the subject of our Twitter poll of the week on our Yahoo Finance account on Twitter. We asked the question, do you think Elon Musk will make major changes at Twitter? Tell us why in the comments. We were asking for a little extra color on that. But as far as the numbers themselves, interesting to see 60% said yes, 40% said no. And what was interesting was that some people said, major changes, not really. Changes in influence, possibly yes, because a board is a board for a reason, at least was one Twitter user's response to our poll there. But Akiko, I think it underscores the fact that ownership through a board seat is not necessarily a full-on conduit for making wholesale changes at a company.
Yeah, Brian, we're all guilty of talking too much of Elon Musk in financial news, I would say, but it feels like it went into overdrive this week as a result of what was reported out earlier on in the week with Elon Musk taking that 9.2% stake in Twitter. And then, of course, we learned that he will now have a seat on the board. And that kind of prompted this Twitter question. You read one of the responses. I thought this other one was interesting because it tells me that people are kind of thinking about what that role is likely to be for Elon Musk. I think the bigger question is he going to help them grow the company in revenue with meaningful changes, or is he going to sit on the board simply to demand features like edit buttons? There's a larger question, Brian, that's happening internally at Twitter. And this has been reported out by those like the Washington Post, who say that Elon Musk will be having an AMA, Ask Me Anything, internally, because there's a lot of concern within employees who are worried that Elon Musk's seat on that board, even though it's just one seat, could really change the culture of the company because of what we have heard Elon Musk talk about in the past, whether that is content moderation or, what he says is sort of his push for free speech.
Yeah, I mean, look, I brought this up earlier in the week, and I just want to emphasize that when we look at the stock, though, for example, because let's face it, it's been a rocky week for Twitter. After the first day of the news, there was the follow-up news that it was no longer a passive stake. It actually was an active stake. He would be taking on a seat on the board. Shares are now up 17% on the week. I mean, everyone's going to say, it's because an edit button's coming. Elon's going to do all this stuff. But again, when any investor comes in and buys 9% of a company, especially if it's a billionaire with a lot of money who wants to have a smart allocation, I mean, that's going to make the stock go up. So I think maybe some of the assumptions here are just a little bit overbaked. But of course, we'll have to see over the long run whether or not he actually does anything with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the counter argument is that Elon Musk with one tweet has moved things, right? Whether that is Dogecoin, Bitcoin. So
I wish I had the power for that.
If you're an investor in Twitter, you're probably in for a rocky ride for at least for the time being with those headlines coming out.